doesn't know Gary Penn, they should. Where do they find you, Dr. Penn? Where's the best place to find you?
Oh, well, drgarypenn.com is my
There you go.
website.
And then everything links up, right?
Everything links up, and you can get a sense of who I am and what I do.
Man, I
And
miss you,
it's
dude.
fun.
It's been so long since we've had one of these conversations.
Yeah, way too long. Yeah.
Way too long. Like I said, there's so many different things I know we could talk about. I had a list of a couple of things. So Kelly's kind of quasi second dad. He's a career counselor, and he does like a course on careers. And one of these things that he does, I think you'll love this. You may have already heard of it. I don't know if he came up with it or if it's something that just exists. But he has the class write down their six worst, not necessarily their worst fears, but things that they're just like dreading to do, right?
Yep.
Six things that you're just dreading to do. And then he doesn't tell them, but he just tells them to write them down, number them 1 through 6. Then he gives them a die and then has them roll the die. And then it's like number 5 is, and we roll a 5, and number 5 is call my dad. He's like, well, there you go. And it's like, you got to call your dad. And like, no, but I don't want to do that. It's like, but the fates have decided.
Yeah, you leave it up to the gods, right?
You leave it up to the gods. So the gods have decided. So now we're here. Now it's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Right.
good.
I think that's just so awesome. Because I think it's kind of a way to hack your own mentality, right? To kind of trick yourself into starting.
Yeah.
Um, which potentially that's one of the topics of things that I wanted to talk to you about that I wrote down.
Well,
I wrote this
let
Twitter
me just
post.
say one thing on
Yeah,
that
sure. I'm
topic.
sorry.
Sometimes people say, like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'll say, well, do you want to be a roofer? And they go, no. So I go, well, I said, well, you have some idea.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
let's start figuring out, what you don't want to do, and then we'll get to what you want to do.
The practice of defining what we mean by God by saying what God is not, right?
Oh,
And so it's like we're never really going to be able to wrap we shouldn't be able to, at least if God is an expansive,
yeah,
you know, concept, that we would ever be able to put it into a box and say, this is what it is. It's right here. Right. So the best we can do is say what God is not. And then we could
mm-hmm.
do that with ourselves. We can define ourselves by saying what we're not. And so you said, do you want to be a roofer? Right. And it's funny
Yeah,
because this is one of the things I wrote down to maybe want to talk to you about. I had this dream, and it's funny because I don't know if you can see it down there, but that's Jung's gold scarab, which
oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
in my mind it symbolizes Jung's golden scarab. That's
yeah.
what it is. I found it, or it found me, a couple of weeks ago, but that's a whole nother story. I wrote this Twitter post. It says, make a decision, any decision. Your choice is a demonstration of your true power. Inertia is an inescapable prison, but action is the key. And the post in and of itself, it's like, okay, yeah, that's something. But the crazy part was that I said that exact phrase to someone in my dream. Like I wrote down what I had just said in my dream to someone when I woke up. It wasn't like, it was completely formed in my subconscious because I didn't sit around to think about it. I
Sure.
woke up and I was like, I just literally said this to someone, make a decision in my dream as I was picking up trash in a junkyard. Right. And then I thought, picking up trash in a junkyard, my subconscious was projecting an archetype of futility as a mirage, a spell that can only be broken by challenging the illusion through action. Our creative agency is our highest act of being. So it was wild that I was in this junkyard picking things up, which seems completely futile, right? But then I was telling whoever it was I was talking to, myself mainly, but make a decision, any decision. And so it's funny that Janine asked if we would talk about imposter syndrome, and partly that's, that analysis paralysis is kind of probably goes hand in hand with imposter syndrome, I would assume, right?
Say the last part again. If
Well, the
what?
the notion of making a decision
Yeah.
Am I an imposter in this place? It's if you just make the decision, if you just
Yeah.
roll that die and then you make the action and the fates have decided, then you start moving towards action.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
it releases you from the prison.
Yes. I'm just taken aback by the first part of what you've said. It was like pretty cool. So I was kind of marinating in that just for a
Sure.
second.
Sure.
Okay, well, the boy's got some skills. So so that was that was good. That was good. Yes, but you're it's not knowing when someone says I don't know
Mm,
what they're really what the real thing in play is they resist knowing. It isn't
mm,
it isn't that they don't know. But they resist knowing. It's a
mhm.
defense against being wrong. It's a defense against being made fun of. It's a defense against failing. So when people say I don't know, in my practice, if someone says I don't know, I say, well, take a minute,
Sure.
because the only one on this planet that knows is you.
Yeah.
So you could sit there and say I don't know, but it's really resisting knowing.
Well,
And when
that's
you
it,
get that
it's
prompt, then they know.
it's funny because so much of what I was talking about is choice and decision. I feel like Viktor Frankl says that it's one of the most poignant pieces of man's search for meaning is that the only thing that they can't take from you is your choice and how you'll react. They could take away everything, that every bit of agency, put you in a prison, murder you, but they can't take from you the choice and how you'll react to it. I've thought about that for many years, and it's funny because even if when you say I don't know, it's a relinquishing of your choice,
Right.
but it's a mirage because you can't. Because even if you allow someone else to choose, you're still choosing to allow someone else to choose.
That's true. And when people are making choices, people get like kind of worked up because they don't want to make the wrong choice. And I'm saying, look, most of the choices that we make,
Mm-hmm.
most of the choices, am I going to vacation in Paris or am I going to vacation in Yemen? And so people get so worked up of the story of I want it to be perfect.
Mm,
And all of a sudden they start to get agita and they start to get insecure. And then it becomes work instead of a joy. And that's
mm.
a shame.
So much of your success is built around failures and learning.
Yeah, there you go.
Hit me about it was probably a couple of months ago. I shot a little video just talking to the camera myself about it. You can't teach an old dog new tricks is bullshit, right? Because I have a new perspective on something that I've spent a lot of time with. And I was like, whoa, this is like this is different now. This is totally different. And that's the notion of gratitude. I've done like talks on gratitude. Wow, storming pretty crazy here. Um, I've done talks on gratitude before. I've spent a lot of time with this notion of gratitude, and I think this is going to really resonate with you because we've talked before about how you say it better. So I'm going to lead you to it and let you say it about hating your parents the right way.
Well, one of the hallmarks of psychological of health is our ability to hate our parent well.
There you go.
And what I mean by well, I mean without cannibalizing ourselves. And again, and of course, there are plenty of parents that aren't, there's really nothing to hate.
Right.
But you could say, I hate that my mother worked, or like you could be comfortable saying it, but sometimes it's a capital H hate. It's really some real horrible things that, I hear and you've heard of. But a lot of times it's a small H hate. But if you
Sure.
could do that without like beating ourselves up, it allows us to love them freely because we're not loving them out of guilt for hating.
Right. Right.
So
Well, so then that also leads to the notion, right, of we talked about the positive narcissism, and that the one podcast that I unfortunately lost the recording of, where we talked about a lot of that notion of imposter syndrome or the healthy healthy narcissism, I think is the way that you phrased it better.
Yes.
And it's allowing yourself to, Muhammad Ali, Picasso, they didn't have any qualms about saying I am the greatest, right?
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
everybody can be the greatest, and we don't espouse delusion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But my thing has always been that they say there's a delusion of grandeur, but more often there's a delusion of mediocrity.
That's
Like,
really smart. That's really, really good. I might steal that from you. That's really good.
awesome. Just put me in the
That's
cliff notes somewhere, or in the footnotes
that is
somewhere.
that is excellent, AJ. I love that. That is like wonderful.
But so we have this delusion of mediocrity. So we can have healthy narcissism.
Mm,
We've talked many times about anger, right?
mm,
And positive anger, where it's righteous, it makes sense. It's the best thing that we can do to try and create a fire that might burn out the impurity that leads to better health. Okay. So with gratitude, I struggled with it, right? Because I struggle with, I'm always espousing gratitude. I'm always saying that gratitude is like the philosopher's stone to my wizard of serendipity magic, right? I feel like being grateful is the key. It
mm.
is what alchemizes all these situations in my life. But I couldn't put it into words yet. And then it finally hit me like a few weeks ago. Gratitude is not a feeling. And that's when I heard that in my head, I was like, okay, hold on a second. Yes. It's like when I talk about love, I don't think that love is a feeling. I think love is a decision, right? There are feelings of love. Feel like we can fall in love, right? And the kind of correlation there with gratitude would be like, oh, I'm so grateful that I just won the lottery, right? Well, no shit. That's easy gratitude. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But being grateful for making a bad decision so that I can learn, that one's not as easy, right? But the way I look at gratitude, and I just never really articulated it, and I feel so much better about it. That's why I want to talk to you, just to see what your thoughts were, is
Mm.
that gratitude is a decision, less a feeling. We can feel gratitude, of course. And when the sun is shining on us, we're like, oh, yeah, this is great. You know what I mean? But the decision of gratitude is like the decision of love in a relationship where, you know, she didn't, we've talked about the sandwich. You didn't make me the fucking sandwich. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been a real asshole lately. We lost something, yada yada. You go through the whole litany of things, and it's like, I don't feel like I love this person right now, but I choose love. I choose love. And then the feeling might come back around, but feelings are fleeting. That's like the difference between happiness and joy. To me, I can be joyful and not always happy. I can embrace the notion of joy and not be happy at the same time. And so I feel like gratitude, I don't always feel grateful, but I choose gratitude.
Okay. I think that's is it that you choose to find gratitude? Like you choose like to try to like to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be mindful of all that I have and all that's been given to me. And even if in the loss I get perspective and
Mm-hmm.
is it like a reminder for you to be like it allows you to kind of be your best self. Like let's not be petty. I'm making and to your point, I'm making a decision not just to be, just this, angry, miserable person. I may say, well, let me learn from this. That's, it's 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 very ambitious in a lot of ways. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you allow yourself to go dark,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
sometimes if I'm angry, someone will say, "Don't be angry." I go, "Just let me enjoy it."
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just really, I just
Absolutely.
really am so fucking pissed off and I'm
Right.
so angry. And I actually, it doesn't happen often with me, but if I'm angry, I go, just let me enjoy it. I just want to
Mhm.
hate this person right now because it's
Yeah.
such a dickhead. But it's not going to consume me.
Right.
I'll be I'll be over it. It's like taking a dump. I just needed to take this dump,
Yeah, there you go.
and that's it. That's like,
That's
and
it.
I enjoy my dumps, and
Yeah.
so
And then you
let
leave
that
it,
leave, and then I leave, and
flush it
then
down.
I flush it away. Yes.
Well, yeah. So, but I guess I think that, yeah, I think it's like, well, I can be allowed. It's Pollyannish to just go around and talk about gratitude, is what I'm saying. It's tree
Right.
hugging, it's
Yep.
rainbows and puppy dogs,
Yes.
it's and I think it's not genuine. I don't think it's authentic. Um, I see it a lot. You know, Janine brings you into beautiful spaces, right? That we're sharing together. It's how we met in these artist communities and these creative communities and this Web3 space. But I've
Mhm.
seen, I mean, from day one, we people be giving people flowers. They're always giving people, let me give you your flowers. And I
Right.
would just get disgusted with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be the curmudgeon. I was
Yeah.
always the party pooper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, that wasn't good. Like, don't just say it was good just because everybody's got to feel good. It's the whole
Yeah.
trophy syndrome, like
Yeah. Yeah. You get a participation trophy.
participation trophy. I mean, like, but again, it's like, then you say, well, man, how could you be? I thought you're supposed to be this like happy, gratitude. You're talking gratitude. Well, how does that match? Well, it's because again, gratitude, that's where I'm saying it's not a feeling. If you're only boxing it into that emotional state, just like happiness and joy, like are you happy? No, I cannot be happy, but I can still have joy in my experience. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm saying I feel like
But
gratitude.
and the other part of it, JJ, is we don't have to be afraid of our dark side.
Right,
Our dark side is telling us something. It's like it's not necessarily horrid,
right.
right? It's just we can't amputate our humanness, and the yin and the yang. you
Yeah.
know we have the love and we have the giving, and then we have the selfishness, and then we have the anger and the rage. And
Mhm.
part of passion, it's part of art, it's part of the human experience. I think if we try to amputate it, it it's kind of like taking the rainbow bridge to enlightenment.
Yeah. It
It's like I'm just
sanitizes
going to be,
everything.
yeah, I'm just going to be this way. Like,
Right. It's why
well,
women don't take dumps.
yeah,
You were talking about you were talking about taking your dump, right? But
yeah,
people want to,
yeah,
men specifically want to, that no, because they're unicorns. You know what I mean?
yeah. Of course, that's pretty
So
funny.
it's like it's a whole thing. Well, I mean, you probably can't see because it's getting dark in the room in here, but I have like my Harriet Tubman, one of my paintings from my well-regulated militia series.
Uh-huh.
And like that's where for me, like the whitewashing fallacy of American quote unquote history is one thing that just absolutely boils my blood all the time. I mean, it's not day to day, but I work it out in my work. I bring it to the work, you know? So like I was unfortunately had to go into Walmart today. And well, as I was walking by, I'll see if I can pull it up. I took a picture of it because I was just so pissed when I even saw it. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. So you probably can't see it, but I'll describe it to you.
I got
It's
the eagle.
it's an eagle with a skull, and it says "Defender of Freedom" since 1776. It's like, well, hey, asshole, this fucking country wasn't free
Yeah.
until at least 1875.
Well, if you look
But
at Jim Crow, it's the 1960s,
that's what I'm saying.
19. Come
But I'm
on.
saying
I
at
mean,
least 1875.
yeah,
Then you really want to need to move up to Jim Crow. And then even after that,
yeah,
let's just be real, right? So it's like just the idiocy of that and the like the anachronistic fairy tale that is American white
Yeah,
history is
yeah,
just gets me all the time. But if it didn't, you know what I mean? I wouldn't. There's certain paintings that like that's where I do. I take it to the work. I take it to my art.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's just another opportunity to find who we are by saying what we're not.
yeah. I think anger is a highly underrated emotion.
Mm.
It's like fire, you know.
Yep.
It could burn my house down. It could keep me warm and I can cook dinner,
Yep. Yep.
it's not objectively horrible, but people get so worked up about being angry. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking like it's part of like my life force. Love is as well. It isn't like I'm not an angry person by any means, but
Right.
you get me worked up about something like what you just said. Like I don't like I don't like stupidity.
Right.
Just don't like it. It just chafes me.
Yes.
It's like you know, I just don't like it. I
I
don't
am the
like it.
same.
I don't like it when I'm dopey. Like, oh geez, I
Yeah.
can't believe I just did that.
Right.
But I don't like when someone just says, something like what you just talked about as far as slavery goes. It's
Mhm.
like you're just incurious. You're just not interested. It's like you're treating me like I'm a moron.
So that's it's funny that you say that you're just not curious because one of the things that when it comes back to that for me, there's like there's so many books, there's so much history, there's so many perspectives to try and find like why is it? I have an idea why I think, but I'm gonna ask you first. Why is it that people aren't curious? Why, especially when like apply it specifically to what we were just talking about, like American history or slavery and the race issue. Why is it that they're not curious?
I think I think they don't want to see themselves in the mirror. I think
Mm,
if they were faced with the truth
mm-hmm.
and they still said what they said,
Mm-hmm.
then they're getting into a darkness
Mm-hmm.
that they can't hide behind in some kind of rhetoric of some kind of fancy statement of we're all this and we're all that.
Yeah.
And on the other side, where everyone's so fragile that
Mm.
they just become targets, so they have to be called certain names and they have to be this and they have to do this, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's just like just shut up.
Yeah.
I don't don't make it's so narcissistic to tell me I have to call you a certain pronoun. I don't even know who you are. I don't even know who the fuck you are if you're a good person, but I have to sit there and somehow do this, put myself into a pretzel. Otherwise, I'm some buffoon uh,
Right.
that it doesn't care about anyone and and a selfless homophobe.
Right.
Like it's so narcissistic to me. That's so
Sure.
incredibly narcissistic to force me. And I
Yeah.
don't even know you. Well, how about
Right.
your name? Is your name what?
Yeah.
JJ? Oh, let me
Yeah.
just call you JJ.
It is a weird place. It's a slippery slope, potentially. You know what I mean? Is it a joke or is it a veiled, you know, dog whistle of some sort? But I was watching the Borat. It's a segment from when he stayed with these guys, these like right-wing conspiracy theorist kind of dudes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then they like turned it into a whole show. I think it's on Prime, and they actually go through an episode of series like where they're kind of debunking the stuff that the guys said with doctors and experts or whatever, and they're actually having the conversation. They don't. It wasn't really done that great, to be honest. I was hoping for more. It's kind of like they just tapped at it, but then left it alone.
Yep.
But the funny thing was, Sacha Baron Cohen's a genius, but he's
Yeah.
messing with the guys, and he's out at this like Trump rally thing. He's singing this song that he wrote, this country song, where he's disparaging like Jews and everything, of course, right? And he says the one line he says is CNN, the fake news controlled by the you know who's, and he goes like this with his nose. And I was dying. And it's like, it's such a hilarious joke because the joke's on the people that are laughing at it and cheering it.
Yeah,
But it's like, it's obviously Sacha Baron Cohen is not, uh, you know, an anti-Semite, right? So
right,
it's like,
right.
it's just like such a hilarious joke. But then you think of Dave Chappelle, for instance, and one of the things I heard Dave Chappelle said, one of the reasons he was getting a little bit anxious about the show, aside from pressures from the inside, was that he felt like at some point he was potentially normalizing things, words, things that maybe shouldn't be normalized, through the comedy. He was making those points, but when it went over people's heads that
Yeah,
were,
they're
they
going to use
started,
that as a weapon. Yeah.
yeah, they were participating in a way that wasn't right. So I don't know. It's a funny thing, but comedy is something that always dances on that line. I think of all this different stuff because it says it's embracing the absurd. It embraces shadows. Often, like you did. You were on. Speaking of comedy, I remember seeing this and was like, "Oh, look at this."
Oh,
You
I was
with
on Pete
Pete
Holmes. Yeah,
Holmes, right?
where you make it weird. Yeah. Those of your audience that wants to check me out, you could just go to Pete Holmes and put my name up. Pete, you make it weird, and they'll be able to see the episode.
Yeah, that
It
was
was pretty.
fantastic.
Yeah, what's one of the things, like Pete is so smart, and you're so smart. I just like hanging out with smart people. I feel smarter um just by being in the orbit, and it's like
Same.
really, and you level up. You don't want to
Yeah,
be sitting there.
but we get validated, but it's weird because I think that the same thing happens conversely. The idiocy, misery loves company. Like
Yeah, yeah,
dummies love to hang out too.
yeah, yeah.
And they just,
It's
I don't
true.
know. I guess everybody, it's tribalism to
Mhm.
some degree, but I don't know.
But
Well,
by the way, I wasn't. I'm not like. I'm not like. I guess I feel I need to say this. I'm not a hater on people that are struggling as they go through their lives and their sexuality and all that stuff.
sure,
I just think that they harm themselves. I just think like, just be a good person, live your life,
right.
be smart, be good, and like it took you, whoever that you is, many, many years to come to this conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just met you, and I don't, and this whole thing is new for a lot of people.
Sure,
So let people stumble around as long as their behaviors are fine, and you can come in and go to my restaurant and do what you want to do, and no one
right.
cares.
Well, and the thing is, at risk of, we have 6 minutes left here in this conversation, but and at risk of, we're on the deeper end of a combo, so maybe no one will ever see this, or the few that will hopefully understand where I'm coming from. But to agree with another part of what you're saying and go a little bit further on it, a person's ethnicity, for instance, is there from the beginning,
Yes,
no matter what. And it's
yes,
seen, for better or for worse, outwardly, right?
yep,
Like, to your point, I don't know you, and you might have this decision. Let's take it away from any sort of sexuality. You are a lampshade.
yeah,
That's your new thing.
yeah,
Okay. And again, I don't think that that's happening a lot anyway. It's this overinflation by goofy people that want to get clicks, right?
yeah,
The news cycle. But at the same token, you can do that, and that's the thing. And you might be mad that I don't recognize you as a lampshade, but this is a whole different layer of struggle versus what we talked about earlier. Slavery in the United States, civil rights fight for Jim Crow to be
yeah,
abolished. This is not the same thing. You don't fucking get that. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? You
right,
don't
right.
get to add your own, you don't get your whole new level of oh my God, look at what happened to me, because some real shit happened to people. The Holocaust really is a fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yes,
it's like, and anti-Semitism is a thing, that we have to be,
yeah,
very cautious of. So, lampshadism, I don't think really is going to do a whole lot, in the scheme of things. I mean, I'm again, but I'm with you where I'm like, hey, that's cool. I don't care if you do, and I'm not
Yeah,
judging
yeah,
you for it or whatever else. It's about when you kind of overreach into, it's like I'm trying to find my crusade. I'm trying to find
yes.
this thing that I have to die on the hill for because I don't have anything else.
You know what's ironic is I won't judge you to make a like a sex change,
Mm-hmm.
but I will judge you for forcing me to say something, to call you something that I don't want to call you. So it's okay. Like I can care. Like good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. God
Yes.
be with you. Live your life.
Yes.
But don't. I will judge you for the other part,
Right.
but for the big part of you've decided to transition over. God bless you. Live a good life.
Right.
God
Right.
be with you.
Right.
You know. That's great.
Yep.
But don't start to be like the thought police and make
Right.
me
I don't want it up cutting short and missing anything. I want to be able to say a proper farewell.
this feels like a premature ejaculation, like I'm just getting started,
It's always the same.
and it's
That's
like I'm really frustrated because I'm just getting started, and I go, don't, it's over.
it's
Oh,
over. Oh,
fuck.
and then
Oh,
and then and then we gotta wait. We gotta wait so long. We can't wait as long this time around. We can't wait as long. What do you got going on right now, Gary? Anything that you would want people to know about? Like, what about your book? You were
you know what? I'll tell you about my book. I'm writing all the time. Um, I'm really happy with it until I reread it.
mm.
Then I despise it and I have to rewrite it. So there will come a time, I promise you, I know this because that was my
Okay.
first book, where I read it and then I put it down and then I read it again and I'm going, okay, it's not
There you
bad.
go. Yeah, if you
And
can
that,
put it down 3 times, then it's good to go.
yeah, yeah. So
I love it.
obviously I'll give you a copy and you could
Good. Yes.
let me know what you think before I put it to print.
Well, I hope to be able to maybe potentially write something for it too,
That would be my honor. That'd be great. AJ, thank you. You're one of my top five. You're one of my favorites.
I love that.
All
You
right.
and Janine, I love you guys. Can't wait to be out there with you in
Yes,
August. But
that's right.
we'll tap in before then, okay?
All right. You be well.